Hey, sixth graders, today we're taking a look at dividing fractions. Now, the video that you're looking at right now and the one that we're going to be watching, this is actually going to be breaking up into 3 different parts and 3 different days, 3 different assignments. So I will let you know when we're done with that one assignment. You can continue watching if you'd like, or you can stop, work on your assignment, and then the next day finish up with the rest of the video. So I will leave that up to you. I'm also going to add another video on your assignment that is a really corny but really catchy song that helps you remember the rules for dividing fractions. So take a look at that as well. So today we're focusing on dividing fractions. Adding and subtracting went together with our common denominators. Multiplying, where we multiply across the top and the bottom. Division has its own set of rules. So here we're looking at our third really big set of rules when we take a look at dividing fractions. When we are dividing fractions, we're actually not doing any dividing. Instead, we're taking our problem and we're changing it to a multiplication problem. So our rule when we're taking a look at dividing fractions, it is the same thing as multiplying the reciprocal, which you're probably going, what the heck is reciprocal? Which is what we're going to be talking about first. So a reciprocal, what that is, it is taking our fraction. So if we have, for example, an A over B, all we're doing is flipping our fraction. So here, now the reciprocal would be B over A. Now the whole idea behind this, let me show you an example with numbers here. So if we have 1 over 2, our reciprocal would be 2 over 1. If we were to multiply those, let's see, 2 and 2, we can simplify that. Divide by 2 on both, we get 1 over 1, which is the same thing as 1. A reciprocal is saying that if we take our fraction and multiply by the reciprocal, we would have a whole, or we would have 1. So when we're taking a look at these reciprocals, I'll show you a couple examples here, all we're doing is flipping our fraction. So, for example, 3/5, our reciprocal would be 5 over 3. We could keep it as 5 over 3, or we could write it as that same thing, that mixed number, that 1 and 2/3. Same thing. Now, if we have a whole number, a mixed number, like 1 and 3/4, to find the reciprocal, first we have to change that to an improper fraction. 4 times 1 plus 3, 7 over 4. So the reciprocal of 1 and 3/4, or 7/4, would be 4 over 7. So we're taking that fraction and we're flipping it. If they give us a mixed number, we have to put that in fraction form, improper fraction form first, and then we're going to flip it. So that is our reciprocal, okay? It's just that flipped number. Now, our rule here is multiply the reciprocal. Another really great way to think of it is this. We keep the first one, we change the sign, and then we flip the second one. Okay, so keep, change, flip. That doesn't really look good enough. There we go. Flip is what we want to kind of think about as we're going through our multiplying fractions. So keep, change, flip. So we're going to start with some of the examples for today. Our first we're going to take a look at these. The first part of the lesson is taking a look at whole numbers. So here we have 6 divided by 2/3. Now, when we're doing this one, we keep our first one the same, we change our sign, and then we flip our second one. So this division problem now becomes 6. Now, I'm going to write it 6 over 1 because we want it to be in fraction form. So we have 6 times, and because I changed my sign, it's the opposite, we also have to flip our fraction or do the opposite. So it'd be 3 over 2. I can multiply across. I get 18 over 2, which if I simplify it, it would be 9. Remember, you guys, you can simplify crossways beforehand, and you get that same answer. So I could divide by 2, I would get that 9 over 1, which is the same thing as 9. So I'm keeping my first one, I'm changing the sign, and then I'm flipping my second number. Next problem, let's take a look at this one. What if I have 2/5 divided by 2? Now, this 2, if we're looking at that as a fraction, would actually be 2/1. We want to put it in fraction form first before we go through our keep, change, flip. So now I'm going to keep my first number the same. I'm going to change my sign, and then I'm going to flip my second number. Now I have the multiplication problem, just like I did yesterday. Across the top, 2, across the bottom, 10. I can divide both of those by 2 to simplify that to 1/5. So here we're taking a look at keeping the first one, changing the second one, and then flipping the second fraction. I'm going to have you stop right there for assignment number 1. Assignment number 2, we will get started right here. So that was 1-4. That was the first assignment. Now we're going to go a little bit further, and we're going to be taking a look at dividing fractions by fractions. So this is 1-5. This would be our next day assignment. So here we're looking at dividing fractions again. Our rules with our multiplying the reciprocal, or an easier way to think of it is keep, change, flip. So here we are going to be looking at fractions and fractions. So for example, let's look at 2/3 divided by 1/3. For this one, we're keeping the first problem, we're changing our sign, and then we're flipping the second one, 3/1. Now, this is a great one to simplify beforehand. Remember, going crossways, we can simplify. I can divide 3 on both of those. I get 2/1, which is the same thing as 2. So keep, change, flip. And then we have our multiplication problem like we were working on earlier this week. Next one, 7/12 divided by 1/8. Let's follow our formula here. Keep, change, flip. Once again, a great one to simplify beforehand here. These ones are both even, so I know that 2 goes into that, but I'm thinking a little bit more. I know 4 goes into it as well. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now when I go across, I have 14/3, which if we turn that to a mixed number, 3 goes into 14 how many times? 4 times. And then there's 2 left over. Our denominator stays the bottom as 2/3. Two over 5 divided by 1/8. Keep the first one, change our sign, flip our second one. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. And here we can change that back into a mixed number. We have 3 and 1/5. Now, that is the end of 1-5. Now, we can go on to our next part, which is 1-6. So the reason I'm putting these ones all together is because we are following the same thing, but each stage is just looking at some different types of fractions. So the first one, we had whole numbers and fractions. Second part was fraction and fraction. And if you can guess it, the next part, which is 1-6, is dividing mixed numbers. So here, you guys, the big thing to keep in mind, we're following our same pattern, our keep, change, flip, or multiplying the reciprocal. However, what we need to do first is we need to change our mixed numbers into improper fractions. So if we have 1 3/8 and we're dividing it by 4 1/8. Now, you guys, the thing about these is you may end up getting some larger numbers because we're dealing with these whole numbers. So my recommendations for you, first off, are to simplify beforehand. Once you get into that multiplication problem, it's best to simplify beforehand. If that doesn't work for you, a calculator to help you with simplifying will work. And I'll show you a little clue at the end here too. So 1 3/8. We're going to change that to an improper fraction, which is 11/8. divided by 33 over 8. So it's best to put it in your improper fractions first. Then we can change it to our multiplication problem. So remember, we keep the first one, we change our sign, and then we flip our second one. Now, if we did our multiplication across the top and the bottom, we'd have some pretty big numbers here. We'd have, 88 and another big number. Simplify beforehand. Look at you guys. We can take 8 out of both of these, 1 and 1. These ones, we can take 11 out of both of those. Much easier to multiply our 1 and our 3 than if we did our full multiplication. Now, if you multiplied and multiplied by 11 and 8 and 33, that's perfectly fine. You're just going to have to do your simplifying at the end because we need to make sure that we have our answer in simplest form. Okay, next one. How about if we have 2 and, not that one. Sorry, guys. 2 and 2/3. Oh my goodness, man, it's been a long day. Divided by 8. Before we get any of our changes here, let's make sure both of these are in fraction form. So we're going to change this one to an improper fraction. Okay, and we have 8 over 3 divided by, and let's put this into our fraction form as well, 8 over 1. Oh, our class is back. Hold on, you guys. You'll get the rest of your lesson later. Sorry about that, you guys. My class came back, and then we had to finish the school day. But now they're gone. They've gone home. All right, so on this one, we are taking a look at how to turn that improper fraction, mixed number into an improper fraction, and then our whole number into a fraction. Now that we have our division problem, we can do our keep, change, flip. So we keep it as 8 over 3. We're going to change the sign, and then we're going to flip to 1 over 8. You guys, great one to take a look at our simplifying beforehand. We can take 8 out of there and 8 out of there. Now when we multiply across, we get 1 over 3. Now I want to show you one last example here before we get started on this assignment. And this one's just showing kind of what it's going to look like if you don't simplify beforehand. So we have 3 and 6 over 7 divided by 6 and 3/4. For this one, we're going to change to our improper fractions. So we have 27 over 7 divided by 27 over 4. Here when we do our problem, remember we're going to do our keep, our change, and then our flip. Now, looking at this, you guys, we can take 27 out of both those. So this is a great one to simplify beforehand, and you would get your 4 over 7. Now, if we didn't do that and we didn't simplify beforehand, we would do some multiplying and get 108 over 189. Really, really big, okay? Now, we could go through different numbers and try to figure out what we could divide by and everything. But I do want to show you one other step with your calculator that will kind of help you out. If you get to a problem where you're not really sure what you can simplify it by, and we need to make sure it's in simplest form, you guys, I'm all about being able to use your resources. So I'm going to show you guys on a calculator how you would simplify this. Now, you're not going to be able to put the problem in and calculate and find your answer. You need to know what you're doing. However, to help you with things like simplifying, I'm okay with it. So if you have one of these calculators, we're looking for the ABC button right there, the ABC one. So what I would do, I would put 108 ABC, so that's that button right there, that ABC, and it gives that little line right there, 189. Once I put that, I'm going to press enter, and it's going to simplify it there for me, so 4 over 7. Now, if I have a calculator that does not have that ABC button, yours might have, like this one where it's N over D. So you'd press N over D, and then you'd use your cursors to put in that fraction, 108. I'm going to use my cursor to bring down 189, okay, right here. It wants me to use the cursor over, and I can press enter, and same thing, it will simplify it for me at 4 over 7. My nails are dirty. I stained my deck yesterday. All right, so You can do your simplifying beforehand, probably your best method. You could simplify at the end, or if you want to use that calculator to help you out with your simplifying, you may do that as well. So this video, I know it's long, it's 15 minutes that we've been going so far. However, this is 3 different lessons: dividing with whole numbers, dividing fraction by fraction, and then dividing mixed numbers. So there are 3 different assignments on this one. I'm also attaching another video that just has some extra things that will help you out if you have any questions. Once again, if you have questions on assignments as you're going through and just not getting it from the video, you can send me a message. We can set up a meet and go over these individually too if you need. All right, have a good one.